What up, people? Welcome to the Doing Everything Different podcast. I'm your host, Devin Lars. And I was at the gym thinking about the concept of discipline because I did not want to be there. And I was thinking about how what I wanted to record for this episode. And I was thinking about stuff that I've been reflecting on, right? Like I want this to be kind of especially the solo episodes, real time, kind of what I'm reflecting on, what has helped me, and thinking that it can help other people as well. And I was heading to the gym and I did not want to go. I had been out for a little over a week and I was feeling sluggish and tired. I just did not want to be there. And after I got it done, of course, I felt better. Nobody goes to the gym and then after they get done are like, man, I wish I didn't do that. But I was thinking about like this concept of how I used to always think that, and it might sound weird, and I might be the only one that has thought this, but I always thought that if I don't want to do it, that it doesn't count. Meaning that I didn't realize like, okay, it doesn't matter if you want to do it or not. It matters if you do it, right? Like that's the only thing that matters, whether you did it or you didn't. It doesn't matter how you felt about it. It doesn't matter how you got there. It doesn't matter, if you felt really good that day and got it done, or you felt really bad that day and got it and still got it done. The concept of discipline and to be able to show up and to do something when you've made a commitment to it, even though you don't want to do it. And it just helped me with my perspective of just like understanding like, okay, like it doesn't matter whether I want to do it or not, just show up and actually do it. And that is what matters. And I've always struggled with the concept of discipline and staying consistent with stuff, right? There were two big things that I struggle with in like building my business and taking my business to the next level. And it was delegating and it was discipline. And those two things were like a real big struggle for me because I always felt like when you're starting a business, you kind of have to do everything in the beginning. And so then as you start to go and get a team, you start to realize like, oh, I can't do everything anymore. And that's the whole reason why I have a team, is to be able to give them the tools and to be able to empower them to be able to get the thing done so I could focus on something else. And I think the delegation part was really hard for me because it was hard to let go. I think what happened is I started to feel as if my role changed in the business. So it went from not actually doing the work, the day-to-day work, the client work, whatever it is, but it's more so of looking at building the business and making sure that we're building relationships, and I'm looking at the bigger picture of stuff. And so my role changed. And so when that role changed, I felt guilty because I wasn't doing the actual work. And I didn't really understand that like, oh, the work that I'm supposed to be doing is over here now. It's kind of evolved and changed. So it was with that. And then it was also just the discipline of like having consistent team meetings, right? Like making sure every Monday, every week, our team is meeting and we're all on the same page and kind of like communicating. And so those are two big things that I was struggling with. And I remember in 2020, it was, the world was shut down and things were just kind of crazy. And I was talking to my mom one day around these issues that I had of just like these two issues of delegation and discipline. And so she gave me this practice that I did that was crazy, but it actually worked. So I took these sticky notes and she said that you just need to be able to you just need a reminder. And I realized like, yeah, I wasn't necessarily bad at delegation or even discipline. It's just, it wasn't in my subconscious mind. It wasn't in, my day-to-day view of stuff. So it's so easy when you get caught up in something to fall back into old habits. So when pressure comes, when things are happening, when you need to get something done, you're always going to fall back to your habits, your programming, right? Like you're always going to do that. And so what this did was going to allow me to be able to see it in my space when those things came up. I have a sticky note here that says delegate and discipline. So I literally wrote that down. I signed them and I put them all through my apartment. I put it on my coffee maker. I put it on my mirror. I put it on my computer. I put it on my printer. I put it in my room. I put it by the door before I left. I put it on the refrigerator. It literally was crazy. I had all these like yellow sticky notes that just said delegate and discipline. And I signed each one and put it up there. But it was weird because it really helped me. It really helped me understand that, like, oh, okay, I'm not really bad at this. I just have to remember. So when I was on a call and, something happened, I would see this sticky note there and I'm like, okay, is this something that I need to be doing right now? Or is it something that I can be able to delegate to the team? And so it was a really practical practice that I think if you're struggling with something that you have challenges with it, and it doesn't have to be discipline or delegation, whatever it is that you're you're struggling with, that you're trying to change. I think changing your environment and changing your cues are something really big when it comes to thinking about creating new habits around stuff. This goes back to this book. I always talk about this book, Atomic Habits. It's literally one of the top. I would say if it's not my number one book, but it's in the top three of my favorite books of all time. If you haven't read it, get Atomic Habits. It talks about how you can't focus. Most of us focus on the goal and the outcome when we really have to focus on the process and the habit. And I think it changes your perspective of how you look at goals and goal setting. We're always taught, oh, you have to set a goal and you have to, like, that is the biggest thing. And granted, you need to know where you're going, but the goal is the outcome of the process and the habits that you build. And so it just reframes your perspective into understanding that focus on process and how you get there versus the actual, result. And so I think for me, that was a practice that I did, is having those, sticky notes everywhere to just remind me all of that stuff. And then the practice with the paper clips. I don't know if you've listened to the episode, but I used to stack up these different paper clips and essentially, like, I would have certain tasks in a different color paper clip for whatever I wanted to accomplish in the day. So whether it's like I went to the gym and I ate clean, I would get a green paper clip. If I said my affirmations and did whatever, I get a silver one. If I missed it, I get a red one. And so every day I would earn a paper clip and then link these paper clips together. And by doing that process, I was able to see kind of like, okay, cool. I've had this, like, long string of success, and then I had 1 or 2 red days. I'm not going to stop all of that just because of these, couple days that I messed up. So it helped me visualize, because I'm a very visual person, to see where I was going, and kind of like the, I would say it was an external way to see kind of my success and my progress over time. Because sometimes we get caught up in our heads and we forget. And again, once emotions get high and things happen, you're going to fall back to your habits. And so building those habits, building new habits, is the key to changing everything. The way that wherever we've gotten and wherever we are right now in life is a result based largely on our decisions and our habits that we have. So what I started to do, as I wanted to kind of take my life to the next level, take my business to the next level, I said, okay, what are things that I'm doing that successful people that are in where I want to go are doing, and what aren't they doing? What do I need to remove? What habits do I need to remove from my life? And then what habits do I need to also bring into my life? And granted, you can't duplicate anyone's success. Your success, again, is going to be tailor-made to you, but success does leave clues, right? Like, and I think that there are common traits of what successful people do in terms of habits and what they take on, what they say no to. The circumstances and the details might change a little bit, but there are certain things. How do you spend your money? Do you spend more than you make? Like, there's little stuff like that. And so as I started to get around people that were more successful than me, I started to say, okay, what do they do that I don't do? And what don't they do that I actually do? And so once you're able to start to see that and you get around different environments, it pushes you, it expands your mind. You start to see how other people operate. And what I think what it really is around getting around people that are more successful than you in whatever aspect. It doesn't have to be financially. It could be in relationship department, parents, whatever it is. It gives you kind of a sense, for me at least, it gives you a sense of uh kind of what's the word, like a sense of that it's possible, right? A sense that, okay, I can do this too. It creates this it creates this, like, it creates this different way of how you view something. Sometimes we look at something and it feels like it's so far out of touch and we just can't comprehend how to get there. But then when you're around somebody that has it, you realize, oh, it's really not that complicated. They just are doing X, Y, and Z. So it just demystifies it, I guess, if that's even the right terminology or the right word for it. But it allows you to say, okay, this could be possible for me, right? You know, if there's somebody else doing what you want to do, that means it's possible and it's been done. I remember when we had 3 employees at the time, and I just could not think, how can we scale past 3 employees? I just couldn't understand, how do you get managers? How do you get a bigger team? How do you have different departments? It was just so foreign to me. And then I started to understand, and I took the perspective of, there's millions of companies that have way more than 3 employees. So clearly it's possible. You just have to understand what they're doing and how to structure it and to set it up. And so that's when I realized, like, I took a mindset and a perspective of, that it's not that I can't do it. I just don't know how to do it. And I need to go find the answer to figure out how I can do it. And by doing that and asking like questions and being more open-minded to being able to find the answer and knowing that the answer is out there, it allows you to kind of take that negative perspective that you already have. Because I was very pessimistic around it, right? I was very like, oh, I can't do it. So it's like, when you say that, okay, you're not going to be able to do it because you're not in this, like, that's what you're like affirming and that's what you're saying. And so I think it's really big of how you look at your perspective, how you think about things, how your mindset is and who you're around, and exposure and different things like that. So I know that this episode, I feel like I was kind of rambling and I talked about a bunch of different topics and kind of things, but I think they all kind of correlate and come back together in terms of just showing up, being able to put in the work, being able to put yourself in positions and in environments that you're able to grow from and learn from. And then also just the practical, I want to make sure that this content is as practical and has like actual things that have helped me, and not just talking about it, but these are exercises and things that I've done. The sticky notes, those things were so pivotal for me, because again, it just allowed me to be in my environment and have these like yellow sticky notes that stood out. So you're going to see it, right? Like if it's in your environment, you're going to look at it. And so subconsciously it helps you kind of like reprogram stuff and keep those, keep the message in the forefront of different things as you start to think about it. So hopefully that's helpful. Hopefully those are action items that you all can take. I appreciate all you guys listening, sharing the episodes, and subscribing. And until the next episode, I will see y'all in a minute. Peace.